And this is the first thing you have to get your head around. As gorgeous as they are, flowers are not just for decoration. Nope, they are incredibly sophisticated reproductive engines, perfectly designed by evolution for one job and one job only, to create the next generation. Okay, let's meet our two key players. So, on one side, you've got the male part, the stamen. You can think of the anther as the factory that's busy producing all the pollen, and the filament is just the stalk holding that factory up nice and high. Then on the other side, we have the female part, the pistil. It's got the stigma, which is basically a sticky little landing pad for pollen, the style, which is the tube connecting everything, and then the ovary itself, which is where the ovules, the potential seeds, are kept safe. So how is all that super important pollen actually made? Well, it happens through a process called microsporogenesis. Yeah, it's a mouthful, but it's basically just the fancy term for how a plant creates its male gametes. A single mother cell divides up to form these tiny microspores, and those mature into the pollen grains we all know. And on the female side, you've got a very similar sounding process called megasporogenesis. A mother cell divides and makes 4 megaspores. But, and this is where it gets really interesting, it's basically a competition. Usually, only one of these 4 actually survives to become the female gametophyte, or the embryo sac. It's like nature is making sure only the strongest contender gets to move on. And the result of that whole process is just a marvel of efficiency. I mean, the fully developed embryo sac has 8 nuclei, but they're all neatly organized into just 7 cells. It's this incredibly streamlined little package, perfectly primed and ready for the big moment, fertilization. So, with our main characters fully developed and ready to go, the action can finally begin. This next part of the story is all about a critical and often really risky adventure, the Great Pollen Journey. And the whole goal of this journey is pollination. It's really just the simple act of getting pollen from point A, the anther, to point B, the stigma. But it is rarely a straight line. See, plants need help. They have to rely on agents like the wind, water, or, most famously, animals like bees, birds, and bats to act as couriers for their precious genetic cargo. Now, this transfer can happen in 3 pretty distinct ways. First up, you've got autogamy. That's self-pollination happening within the exact same flower. Second, there's gatogamy, which is when pollen moves to a different flower but on the very same plant. And finally, you have the one that really shuffles the genetic deck, xenogamy. That's cross-pollination, where pollen makes the big leap from a flower on one plant to a flower on a completely different plant. Okay, so once that pollen journey is complete and a grain of pollen has landed safely on the stigma, the story reaches its climax. This is where the real magic happens, the incredible transformation from a flower into a fruit. And this whole transformation follows a very precise sequence. First, fertilization creates the zygote. But, and this is so clever, before the zygote develops, the plant first builds a food supply for it, called the endosperm. It's like packing a lunchbox. Then, nourished by all that food, the zygote develops into a tiny embryo. As that embryo matures, the ovule around it hardens into a protective seed coat. And finally, the ovary surrounding the seed swells up and ripens, becoming the fruit we all know and eat. So, at the very end of this entire epic process, what do we have? We have a seed. But you know what? It's not just a seed. It is nature's ultimate survival package. It's an evolutionary masterpiece. Just think about a seed's superpowers for a second. It makes reproduction way more dependable. It comes with its own built-in lunchbox, that endosperm we were talking about, so the new little seedling gets a head start. It's a master of dispersal designed to travel far and wide. It's a genetic shuffler, creating all the variation that lets species adapt. And, get this, it's a tiny time capsule, able to just hang out dormant for years, waiting for the perfect moment to grow. So the crucial point is right here. Everything we've talked about, the flower's intricate design, the pollen's long journey, that incredible moment of fertilization, it all leads to this single, ultimate product. The seed is the whole point. It's the grand prize of sexual reproduction in flowering plants. And that leaves us with a final, pretty mind-blowing thought. When you hold a single seed, you're holding a complete genetic story, a blueprint for a brand new life, and the potential for everything from one flower to an entire ecosystem. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What future forests are currently locked away, just waiting to be written?